We are
We are
starting
back.
part 3.
Hi everyone.
Hello, number 72.
Topic time.
Yes, this is the
Oh, I like that.
topic
It's topic
time.
time. And who's doing the topic?
I am doing the topic.
All right,
Okay.
Peg.
And since it's March, so it's Women's History Month, so I decided to do a woman from American history, because we don't talk about these women
Yeah.
in history enough.
Mm.
So I am talking about Elizabeth Cochrane Seaman.
Oh,
And
wait, how do you spell the last name? S-E-A?
Seaman.
Oh, okay.
Seaman.
Okay.
Seaman.
Thankfully.
So she is better known as Nellie Bly.
Ah.
And now, you've heard of Nellie Bly?
Yeah.
Yes. So
Isn't
Nellie,
there a little song about her?
there is actually, Stephen Foster wrote a song
did?
about an African American woman called Nellie Bly, and it's a very jumpy, joyful song. I listened to it on YouTube. You can find it on
Oh, I'm gonna
YouTube.
have to check that out.
So.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So anyway, Nellie Bly, her real name is Elizabeth Cochrane Seaman, and she was born May the 5th in 1864,
Oh.
and she died on January 27th, 1922. She was 57 years old.
Oh,
She was young.
Yeah, she died of pneumonia, I'm pretty sure. So, but anyway, she was an American journalist, and she was widely known for her record-breaking trip around the world in 72 days, in imitation of the fictional character in Jules Verne's novel Around the World in 80 Days. So
Wow.
she beat him, but 6 days later, somebody else beat her.
Oh.
Yeah.
By how many
But anyway,
days?
she went by herself. It was only a couple of days.
Okay.
But she went by herself.
That's
And-
insane.
And that was like in 1880, and that was like unknown,
Good
for a
her.
woman to do
This
that.
month somebody just did that in a boat too. A woman, she went by
Oh,
herself.
that's
Oh,
right, yes.
yeah,
I don't know her
yeah.
name, but
Well,
very
she
brave.
did it not on a little boat across the ocean,
Right.
but she went around the world. She went to all these different countries, and then she came back, and it was like a big deal at
Yes.
the time,
Well,
Of
yeah,
course.
and by herself too.
But were other
Absolutely.
people staying in touch with her to
Yes,
was
well,
a
she
story?
was working. She was a journalist.
So it was okay.
So I don't know about when she went around the world, if she was still working for the New York Globe. That was the paper that Joseph Pulitzer owns.
Oh, okay.
But she
So-
probably sent letters or postcards.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
something
Well,
like
they were tracking her,
Yeah.
and it became a contest. They had the readers try to predict at the exact moment that she was going to
Oh, I
land in
love
a
that.
place.
that. Oh wow.
And then there were prizes, and so
That's
people
cool.
really got into it.
That's fun.
So she was quite a character. All right, so she's better known by her pen name, Nellie Bly. Now, she got the pen name based on that song by Stephen Foster. She didn't pick it. I think that she wanted to Nellie, Nellly, but her editor picked Nellie Bly after the song and put it IE. So then she just kept it that way.
Okay.
Okay.
So, all right, so her career started when she wrote a response to a newspaper article titled "What Girls Are Good For," and she was very young. And she used a pen name, Lonely Orphan Girl. And the editor was so impressed with her that he put an ad in the paper asking her to reveal herself
Wow.
so that he could contact her.
Oh.
And he offered her the opportunity to write another article. So she wrote The Girl Puzzle, arguing that not all women would marry, and what was needed were better jobs for women.
Wow, good for her.
Yeah. So her second article was called Mad Marriages, and it was about how divorce affected women.
Yeah.
And this time is when she used her pen name Nellie Bly. Okay, the editor chose Nellie Bly after the title character in the song by Stephen Foster. Impressed, she was offered a full-time position on the
Oh my
newspaper.
goodness.
Good for
Yeah.
her, Miss
And
Bly.
usually back then, women got on the women's pages. So you wrote about cooking and fashion,
Sewing
and that wasn't her at all.
So Katie Britt was that one.
Yeah. she focused on working women, especially in factory workers. But the factory owners complained about her, so they put her on the women's pages because they complained to the newspapers.
Oh my gosh.
So because she
of
was,
course.
they were covering up all this stuff, and she
Right.
was exposing them.
Yeah, right.
So they put her on the women's pages to cover fashion and society and all that stuff. So
She could be our friend.
yes,
she
exactly.
really could.
Yeah, yeah. She was nice looking too. I saw
Oh,
a
well, I was
picture of her.
gonna
She looked
ask
like such a nice person too.
I was
just
going to ask
yeah.
you if you saw any pictures
Yeah.
of her. Okay.
Okay. Okay, when she was 21 years old, she became a foreign correspondent in Mexico because she got sick of doing this.
Oh, okay.
So then she took this, like they said, all right, we'll send her places then. And she wanted to go to Mexico because...
Well, they didn't fire her. They
No,
knew
no,
she
they
was
didn't.
worth-
She was good.
She was
Yeah.
talented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she did this undercover, a foreign correspondent in Mexico. She wasn't undercover, but she was exposing the Mexican government,
Oh my God.
who was
So dangerous.
they were doing
Yeah.
horrible things to their citizens and
Wow.
suppressing
Not
free
much
speech
change
and
there.
arresting people for speaking out.
Wow.
So she had to get the heck out of there for criticizing the Mexican government. Sooner or later, they were going after her. So
Wow.
she had to fly
She
out
had
of
to-
there.
Yeah, she had to
Yeah.
escape.
So they put her back on the women's pages.
Again, though, they saw the value in her.
All right, so then she left that job. That was one paper. She left it and she went to the New York World, which is the one that's owned by Joseph Pulitzer.
Oh, okay.
So she took an undercover assignment, and this was to me. I mean, I watched the movie, and the movie was terrible. The acting was terrible, but the story was fantastic. So you know that book that you talked about, The Woman Who Would Not Be Silenced, and I
Absolutely.
read it too.
So good.
About Alice Packard, who went in.
Elizabeth Packard.
Elizabeth Packard, her husband committed her to the asylum
Oh,
around
right,
the
right,
same
right.
time,
Yeah.
and the things that went on. She had her own apartment, and she said, how am I going to get myself, put in this asylum?
Oh, she was going undercover into the asylum.
Yes.
Oh.
So she started acting weird in the boarding house, and like she went to a new boarding house, and like they put her in the room, and like she was all, people are looking at me, and like she just started acting crazy, until finally they called the police, and then the police took her and brought her to Bellevue, and then she started acting crazy there, and then they sent her to Blackwell Island Women's Asylum, which the reason she was going there is because everybody knew there was bad stuff going on there.
How brave
And they
is this
were-
woman?
And they were
thinking,
mistreating these women. Women were
Oh
disappearing.
my God.
They would bring them and just cremate them, and nobody ever heard from them
And
again.
that could be her too.
Exactly.
That's what I said. Yeah.
So they finally sent her there. Now Blackwell Island is Governor's Island. This is where it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, she gets there, and the abuse is horrible. And she, once she got there, once they let her in, then she started acting like she wasn't crazy, and no, I'm not crazy, and you have to let me go. I'm fine, and they would not let her go.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. If
Yeah.
she had somebody on the outside.
Well, she worked for the newspaper, so she had no way of communicating with them because the letters that she was sending,
That's something Elizabeth Packard
Yes, right.
secured or right.
So and she
Yeah.
was taking notes. She had this little tiny
Yeah.
notebook that she had to hide, and she was writing down all these things.
yeah.
Because there was one of the doctors there was like raping women, and
Of
it
course.
was just
And
horrible.
they would read the mail or not, inmate, and
Right.
give them to them or not give it
Yeah.
to them, mail or not mail. They
Yeah.
had all the power.
Wow. Exactly.
I know, and they did, and
Oh.
and they found her little notebook,
No.
and now they knew that she was a reporter.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she was saying, "Oh shit, I have
Yeah,
to
yeah, oh,
get
shit.
out of here,"
Yeah.
because they were killing people.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
People were just disappearing. So
my gosh.
Joseph Pulitzer, arranged, because she worked and got her out of there.
Oh.
They sent somebody for her. She was there for 10 days, and it was just horrific. But she exposed what was going on there. When she
Good
came
for
out, she
her.
was like,
Was this
you know, a
at
hero.
the same time as Elizabeth Packard? Do you know?
You know what? It was in the 1880s, so
yeah.
it was around the same time.
So it was probably both working.
Yeah,
because she was in Chicago
she was in
area,
in
Minnesota,
Illinois, and this was in New York.
Yeah.
So anyway, she feigned insanity to get into the asylum, and I just wrote down that it's Governor's Island now. Let's see. So there is actually a couple of movies made about it.
Oh, I have to watch
And one of them is called 10 Days in a Madhouse.
Oh.
And this is the one I watched. And like the acting is not good in it.
Right.
And it's kind of like a cheesy movie, but it does really get across like she was trying to help these other women too while she was in there.
Of course.
You know, so
I love her.
I really fell in love with her too, and I was like, oh my God, I wish I knew you.
Yeah, that's,
You know,
you're giving such a strong picture of her that, like I said, I want her to be sitting with us. Right
yeah,
now.
I know. What an interesting person she
Yeah.
was. So anyway, she experienced deplorable conditions firsthand. She was released after 10 days at the the New York World's request. Her report was in 1887, caused a sensation and prompted the asylum to initiate reforms.
Wow.
Can I ask,
Mhm.
would you know if they found the articles or the reports that she wrote about that?
You
curious.
know what? I think that there were, there was a fire someplace, I know.
Oh, so
But I think that they have some of them.
Okay.
So,
that's so interesting.
but she impacted American culture and shed light on marginalized women. And she ushered in the era of stunt girl journalism.
What was it called?
Stunt girl journalism launched detective reporting, investigating, and investigative reporting. She was the one that, like when Anderson Cooper was going to the dispatchers from the edge, and she started all that.
Wow.
This young girl.
Well, I just looked at my notes from the novel Elizabeth Packard, 1863.
Oh, okay. So look how long it was going on. This was
Yeah.
1887, and
So,
that stuff
I'm
was
just
still
wondering
going on.
if they mirrored each other, the stories,
Right.
one hearing over the other.
And
And
so
1863.
nothing ever changed after that.
And she was in there for a lot longer than 10
Oh,
days,
yeah,
as we know. She
yeah.
was there for years.
Yeah.
So, oh wow.
Oh
okay.
God. So anyway, then the next exciting thing she did, then after that, then she quit journalism for a while. And that's when she did the 24,898 mile journey.
Oh.
And she traveled alone for most of the journey.
This woman
And
is
she reported along the way. And I told you they had contests. People
Yeah,
were,
yeah.
chiming in as to when she'd get to a certain city at a certain time. And after the trip, she quit reporting and took a lucrative job writing serial novels.
Oh my God.
Yes. Eva the Adventuress, it was called. Between 1889 and 1895, she wrote 11 novels.
Oh my God,
So,
I love her.
I know. In 1895, she married Robert Seaman. She was 31, he was 73.
Oh, wow.
He became ill, so she
Wow.
left journalism and took over as head of the ironclad manufacturing
Holy
company.
moly.
He owned this big manufacturing company. So they're the ones who invented the 55-gallon drum.
Oh my God.
And they think that she's the one that did it.
Oh my gosh.
So
She's a genius.
she claims she invented, but it's registered under a man's name, so you
Of
probably
course.
had to.
Yeah.
The milk can too. She invented
Oh.
the milk can, and stacking garbage cans. She was marvelous. She was just great.
Yeah.
And for a time, she was one of the leading women industrialists in the United States. But then she screwed up.
No.
She was very good at inventing things,
Right.
and her company, she ended up going bankrupt
Wow.
because she was way ahead of her time. She gave health benefits to her employees. And yes, they had all these benefits, the recreational facilities they had, and she didn't get the financial aspects of the business. So employees was stealing from her.
Oh.
Like people that she had managing things.
Oh, man.
They stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from the company, and it ended up going bankrupt.
Oh no.
And then she went back to reporting for a while, and then she worked in the women's suffrage movement. She was very, very active with that. And in World War I, she was the first woman and one of the first foreigners to visit the war zone between Serbia and Austria. And she was arrested when she was mistaken for a British spy over there.
Oh my
So,
God.
and then she died of pneumonia, and she's buried in the Bronx.
Oh, she is buried in the Bronx?
Yeah, she's buried in the
Did
Bronx.
she ever have children?
I don't think that she did, no. And then she was on a postage stamp when 2002
Yes.
they had a series of all these women.
The women, yeah.
And she is also, 1998, she was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. She was on West Wing. They talked about her on an episode of West Wing.
You should know that.
She's in that book, Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls.
Rebel Girls, yeah.
Yeah. And in the West Wing, I forgot what it was. They said the episode. And I said, oh, I bet Carol knows
I
that.
probably do, but I don't remember.
And then they did the Drunk History
Oh,
one, which I want to see.
yeah, that's gotta be fun
And
to
this
see.
is Drunk. They have Drunk. I don't know what that says.
It's your writing, huh?
I know. I that was like a last minute thing.
So much information here that I mean, I knew her, I just didn't know
I knew her.
all of
I
this.
didn't even know
Yeah,
a small portion of this.
Wow.
I just
I know. So she was amazing, and there's so many
Yes, I
amazing
wanna
women back
know.
then.
Who were her parents? Like, how did she?
Her parents died when she was young.
So where did
And
this come from?
Was she in an orphanage? 'Cause
No,
an
she
alms
wasn't.
house?
Probably
I don't know. She
probably
wasn't.
had
No,
family that raised her.
wasn't that. She. I can't remember, and I did read about it, but like I said, I wanted to be more succinct this time
Yes.
because I have a tendency to start, from the day of her birth, But what an interesting woman, Nellie Bly. Look her up.
I-
It's
this was
Women's
such a
History
good
Month,
topic.
so
Really enjoyed this.
it was a lot of fun to read about her.
I'm just really
Yeah.
stunned that
Yeah.
she was that.
Accomplished.
Yes, and didn't
Yeah.
let these things hinder her because she's a woman.
And she was very fortunate that she got into the papers where there were men who let her be who she was.
Right.
Who realized that she sells papers,
That- yeah.
So even though they kept on trying to stick her back on the women's pages,
Papers were
but
such a different but important
Oh.
thing back then.
Yes,
Now
yes.
it's not so much,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah, but wow.
I wonder if they paid her the same as they paid the men.
I doubt it very
Yeah.
much. But
Well, anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's part 3 of our episode number 72.
72.
And we hope that you like this new format.
Yeah.
So we're trying it out. So we'll
Yeah.
They'll love it.
yeah, thanks for
All right,
listening.
thank you, everybody.
see. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yay, bye.
Yay. I enjoyed that one.
I love her.
Yeah.